Hello and welcome to the My Expertise Online Academy Expert Webcast, where you will learn how to create, how to market and how to sell your very own online courses and products. I'm your host, I'm Michael Brook. Okay, hello and welcome to the My Expertise Online Academy, where you can discover how to create, market and sell your own online products and courses. I'm your host, I'm Michael Brook, and today with me I have Steve Mills. Steve Mills is somebody that I've known for many years. Steve is an expert marketer, is an expert in LinkedIn, and today we are going to talk about something that I know is very dear to your heart, Steve, which is LinkedIn, because I know that you've created your own online course for LinkedIn, which we're going to hear more about later in the call. But I always assume that a lot of people have a LinkedIn account, but they don't really know what to do with it. Or, everybody I speak to seems to have a LinkedIn account and say, oh yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. But when I ask people what to do with it, they don't actually know what to do with it or how they should be using it. Is that what you've noticed yourself, Steve?
Yeah, pretty much, Michael. Yeah. Firstly, thank you ever so much for inviting me to come on the show, and really looking forward to doing so. But yeah, it is. You know, I was up in Birmingham a little while ago talking to about 1,000 people, and I asked them 3 questions when I started. I said, right, hands up, who's on LinkedIn? I got virtually 1,000 hands. I then said, okay, so who's actually using it on a daily basis? They're active, they've got, let's say more than 1,000 contacts, and they consider themselves to be really active on LinkedIn. I had about 50, I think. And then I asked the third question, which really, for me, really hit home. I said, right, okay, hands up if you're actually winning business on LinkedIn. And almost to a person, the same 50 people put their hand up. And the truth about LinkedIn is, if you work it, it works. It wins business. Yeah. But obviously, it's not just about marketing. It's about selling as well. And you've got to both market yourself, grow your database, make sure your profile looks good, and so on and so forth, and build your connections. But then you've got to turn all that goodwill and commitment into sales.
Yeah, so our assumptions were the same then, that everybody seems to have them, but nobody's really using them, and that's part of the purpose of asking you to come on and speak to Academy members today, because I'm sure most people are on there, but they can get a lot more out of it. So could you share with people, Steve, what your background is and what you actually do? Because it's not just LinkedIn you do, is it? So could you give people a broader picture?
Yeah, sure, by all means, yeah. So for around about 23 years now, I've been working with small businesses, helping them with their marketing. Obviously, I was very young when I started.
Yeah, I was going to say, how old were you then?
And, basically we do 3 things. We train people in what to do, because one of the biggest problems I think business owners and obviously people looking to develop their own online program have is that they don't understand what I call modern marketing methods, be it LinkedIn or Google pay-per-click advertising or whatever it is. They don't really have a full understanding of it. So I train them, I mentor people, working with them on an ongoing basis, and then we offer a sort of done-for-you type service where people just go, well, I haven't got time for this, Steve, can you do it for us? And we pick up the challenge of doing that. So they're the 3 ways I really work. But as you said, I've also built up over the last probably 10 years a high level of expertise in LinkedIn and how to use that.
Fantastic. Something that I've always tried to help people understand, and if you could shed some light on this from your perspective, Steve, is what the difference is between marketing and selling, or marketing and sales, because But I think people, when it comes to creating online products, they know that they have to market those online products. But I don't think people really understand that not only do you have to market that online product, you actually have to sell it as well. So could you just help people to understand from your perspective the difference between marketing and sales?
Sure. I think fundamentally it's about generating leads, that's marketing, and then selling to those leads, which is sales. So
Yeah.
it's lead generation and lead conversion ultimately. And there's very little point generating loads of leads, getting loads of contacts on LinkedIn, and then not actually selling to them. It's just a load of work, and often it's one of the biggest things that are missing. People come to me and they say, well, I'm doing a little bit on LinkedIn. I've got my profile sorted, and I've got 1,000 contacts, and occasionally I post something on the homepage and in groups and so on, but I'm not really winning any business, Steve. And my belief about it, Michael, is people buy fundamentally. People buy from people that they know, like, and trust. That's right. And there's no better way, I don't think, than getting people to do that on LinkedIn. And you can do that from a marketing perspective by contacting them, emailing them, keeping in touch, updating them, providing them with videos and so on and so forth, doing webinars and all that sort of stuff. But fundamentally, to turn all that goodwill into sales, you've got to speak to them. Yeah. I often say to people, until and unless you pick up the phone to speak to your LinkedIn contacts, you're probably not going to win maybe even any business, but certainly nowhere near as much business as you would if you spoke to people.
Yeah, and up until that point, you're really just raising awareness of what it is that you do and what you can offer. It's difficult to convert them with just your LinkedIn profile and your activity on LinkedIn.
It absolutely is, yeah. You've got to pick up the phone. But the other thing LinkedIn does is it enables it to be much easier. One of the fears that I see, and I'm sure you have with your background many times, is the fear of making a cold call. The thought of calling somebody that you don't know and they don't know you, and getting past the gatekeeper and all that sort of stuff. Well, on LinkedIn, that never happens because they do know me. They're my friend on LinkedIn. They're a contact of mine. And, I use that as a way in, what's it about? Oh, we're connected on LinkedIn. All right, I'll put you through. All right, it doesn't happen every time, but it's certainly a great way of getting past the gatekeeper and introducing, the concept of speaking. So, very, very powerful, I think.
Just create a perfect platform for a conversation, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Okay, so people are very familiar with LinkedIn, obviously, and people are very familiar with Facebook.
Yeah.
Could you explain how you see the similarities and indeed the differences between using Facebook and using LinkedIn? Because most people are probably actually on both.
Yeah, sure. It's an interesting one, that, Michael. I'd actually say Facebook in many ways is better than LinkedIn.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's not actually better at creating leads, and that might be a bit of a weird thing to say. But let me just clarify. The technology behind Facebook is really, really advanced. Now, since LinkedIn was purchased by Microsoft, it's improved. You can now do things like remarketing, advertising, in-mailing, and so on and so forth through LinkedIn. But the truth is that Facebook have had that for ages, and it's new on LinkedIn. So from a technical point of view, I'd say Facebook edges it. It's probably more advanced. But the truth of the matter is, and the reason why I think LinkedIn is so powerful, is it's known as the Facebook for business.
Yeah.
It's known as the professional network. And so people tend to like it, and they're in business mode when they're on there. They're not just speaking to their friends and so on and so forth and socializing. They're in business mode when they're on there. And, so it's definitely the business to business network. But I also think it's the business to consumer network, because people on LinkedIn are still consumers. There's 25 million people just in the UK on who are members of LinkedIn. So, both are fantastic. Both I think you should use to sell your online products.
Yeah.
And I think that if I was advising people to sell online products, I'd be suggesting the Facebook pay-per-click advertising side is really powerful. So is the LinkedIn, and they'd certainly be two avenues that I think people should look at.
Yeah, I think it certainly LinkedIn seems to be catching up rapidly. Although it's got a long way to go, of course, but I think it certainly does seem to be catching up rapidly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, things like on Facebook knows it knows more about me. It knows what I'm interested in, and so on. Whereas LinkedIn knows me professionally, it knows what my job is and where I work and what I do. Yeah. So it's to do with that. It's to do with the amount of information that's available. So if I don't know if you've got somebody who's selling an online training course, and it's about how to bake the best cake in the world, how to bake certain cakes or something like that, then on Facebook you can target people who are interested in bakery. And so you can target people very specifically. You can target people who are interested in losing weight with your losing weight online training program. So very, very targeted advertising on Facebook, whereas on LinkedIn you don't quite get to that level.
So what would you think are the 3 biggest mistakes that people make on LinkedIn?
Okay, the biggest one by far is not doing anything. It's very, very simple. Just do something. People are on LinkedIn, and I get all the time, well, I'm on LinkedIn, but I don't really do very much. So it's got to be the number one. The number one reason why people don't win business on LinkedIn is they don't do anything. And I often say LinkedIn's a little bit like joining the gym. People join the gym and then don't ever turn up. Or go down there once every 6 weeks and they're surprised that they've not lost weight. You've got to be there every day, and you've got to be on there on an ongoing basis. The other one I'd say would be not developing their crowd. In other words, their contacts. People say, well, I've got 250 contacts. I've got 375 contacts. I say, well, how long have you been in business? They say, 20 years. I say, so it's taking you 20, all right, LinkedIn's not been going that long. It's taking you, best part of 10 years plus, and all you've got is 250 people. Come on. You've got to get it to the next level. You've got to get more contacts. So going out there and finding your target market and connecting to them, not doing that is a real sort of big mistake. And then I'd say the third mistake is really what we were talking about a few minutes ago, and that is not then following up on those people. I get people saying things to me like, well, I get these people asking me to connect on LinkedIn, and I don't ever do anything, and most of them I don't know, so I just delete them. And I don't ever contact people. You got to, it's like having a database. It's like having a pot of gold there, sitting, waiting to be harvested, and just not digging. You've got to dig. So it's 3 things: is growing the database, making sure you do something, and developing that follow-up system, get on the phone.
And how, I know we've talked before about how important that profile is. What would you say to people about developing their LinkedIn profile?
Okay, I think most people these days are doing an okay job. I first started doing the training, I used to pull up my list of contacts, and 60% of them wouldn't have even bothered having a photo.
Yeah.
Some of them have got a really poor photo. They stood there with a pint of beer in their hand. Or I got one guy actually who's got a fish. Yeah. Which I think that's okay on unless he's selling fishing tackle or something, that's okay on Facebook. But this is your professional network, And I often say to people, as far as a photo is concerned, if you wouldn't put it on your website, then what on earth is it doing on LinkedIn?
That's a really good point.
That's only part of it. So if you've got an okay profile, if your profile is the same or similar to your competition, then that's where your sort of marketing problem starts. And that doesn't matter whether it's a website or a LinkedIn profile or an email or whatever. You've got to, I believe, look to stand out. It's all about standing out from your competition. Yeah. So again, there's loads of things you can do in order to do that. Things like adding a banner, adding photographs, adding video. Yeah. You can add video to your LinkedIn profile. Why wouldn't you do that? Add video testimonials. Yeah. You can, one thing I think is really important is making sure that the summary on your profile is as good as it could be. You've got this, small amount of text there that you want to make sure it works as effectively as you can. Because the old saying, as we all know, Michael, is that you never get a second chance to create an outstanding first impression. So it's really, really important.
And how frequently would you suggest that people put posts on LinkedIn? Do you think there's an upper limit? Is there a suggested optimum amount of posts to put on?
I'm going to tell you what I think, and I'll tell you it's probably a lot more than everybody else. I get people again saying, I post twice a week on LinkedIn. Yeah. And the problem with that is that nobody's viewing your posts. If you're posting even twice a day on LinkedIn, let's just imagine this. Right now, you go onto LinkedIn and you post something. And let's say that you're connected to 4,000 contacts. So the question is, how many of those 4,000 contacts are actually going to see your post, the post that you've just done? So in other words, how many of them are on LinkedIn right now? And the answer is not many. Yeah. Most of them aren't. And I'd hallucinate. My perception is it's definitely less than 10%. Yeah. It's probably more like 0.5%. If you get 20 or 30 or 40 people seeing your post, I think you've done really well. So that's a long answer. In short, I'd say between 5 and 15 times per day you need to post on LinkedIn, which I know is a lot. But it's all about getting your name out there. You want to stand out. If you want great results, you've got to take great action. If you want to become fitter, you've got to get down the gym and really work out. And if you want to get really well known on LinkedIn, you've got to be in people's face, I believe. I think one of the biggest problems that is faced by all small businesses comes down to one word, and that word is obscurity. Nobody's ever heard of you. Nobody's ever heard of me, of you, of everybody listening to this, unless you're, Nike or, Apple, where we're world famous. When I say nobody, I've got a small world of people that know me, and it's in the thousands. Because I've created that on LinkedIn and through my email and so on. But I want to be famous, in the business world right throughout the UK and even further afield. And so, LinkedIn again is a great way of doing that. But I've got to be in people's face a lot.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it.
And I knew you'd say that because it is almost. To the extent where it feels uncomfortable, the amount of posts that you think. Yeah. But of course, people are not on there all the time. So
they do what other people want.
Yeah.
it's as simple as that. Most people go, oh, I haven't got time, I haven't got, and they haven't. They're right. But if you're really serious about growing your online business,
Yeah.
you've got to be in people's face, And video, by the way, is a really strong way of doing that. But if you only need to look at LinkedIn now, and a lot of it is picture based, video based. So adding video, I'm a massive believer.
Essential, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, I'd say probably, I'd say at least a third, possibly even as high as half the posts that I do are video based. So, it's really, really important.
And how important is for us to have a company page? I know a lot of people have got their own personal page, but how important is having a company page on LinkedIn?
Okay, yeah, it's not as important, I don't think, for a small business. But it's one of those things that you might as well do it, because it's there, and why wouldn't you? It used to be something that I felt very unimportant. LinkedIn have improved it. They've improved the format of it, and they've added these things called showcase pages, where you can now have your company profile, but you can upload product pages. So it's if you've got 20 different products. So again, anybody running online training, if you've got 20 different training programs, you can actually upload each one to LinkedIn, so that you can, as a sort of marketing page. I mean, so you can have a page, and then you can promote that page.
So it's becoming more important now, do you think? No.
I'm not totally convinced by it. I'd say it's 10% of my effectiveness on LinkedIn would be my company page, right. And I put 10% of the effort into it. Okay. So I'm not, as you probably gather, a massive fan of it.
Yeah.
But you might as well have it. And things like having a link from your website to it and so on just make total sense. But the main thing I'd say for people watching today would be your personal profile.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the if people were to just do one thing on LinkedIn that would help them create a marketplace for their online product, what would it be? What would be that one message that you would give people?
I think the number one thing that I would do would be to, I think it'd have to be to pick up the phone, Michael.
Yeah.
I know I've said that once already.
Yeah, I know, yeah, but it's important, isn't it?
Yeah, if you want to win business now, today on LinkedIn, go and call 10 of your LinkedIn contacts, and then call another 10 tomorrow, and ideally 20 the day after, and so on.
Yeah.
And that would be my number one tip to winning business on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Really, there are many, many different things that you can do. And I think one of the problems with LinkedIn is that it's a little bit like a piece of software. And we all know with software, we finish up using 10% of it. Yeah. And so, we don't know what we don't know. And that's an issue. But really deep down, my number one piece of advice would be to pick up the phone. Yeah.
I certainly agree with that, and yet still I find it's something that you really have to make an awful lot of effort to do, isn't it? I mean, do you have any strategies that you use for sending out a message to get people on the phone?
I do, yeah. I've developed for example, a new LinkedIn contact system.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I go and ask somebody to connect, or they ask me to connect, once we've connected, I send them a quick in-mail through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I then add them into my email marketing system and add them to a campaign. Now, obviously, we've got GDPR coming up soon, so that's going to have to change a little bit. I'm going to have to speak to them first and their permission, and their written permission to add them into my email system. But right now, I add them into my email system, and things kick off with an initial email. That email is very, very simple. It just basically says, just to say thanks ever so much for connecting on LinkedIn. It's great to be part of your LinkedIn team. Tell me a little bit more about what you do, and if I can help you in any way, please get in touch. I then follow up with another one that sort of basically says, here's some more information. In there, there's a sort of free connect to my podcast, download this or have a look at this video. So I'm give. I'm nurturing. I'm not trying to sell them anything at this stage. So the following day, I go on giving mode, giving a free report and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Then, it's pick up the phone. So it takes me a couple of days to get round to doing that. And then once I've picked up the phone, they get another follow-up and another and another and another. And it's all built into this 6-week new LinkedIn system.
So you've got a 6-week cycle of developing your new LinkedIn content.
Absolutely. And they also get added into other nurturing type systems that we've developed as well. But the new LinkedIn contact system is exactly that. Yeah. That's
perfect. And I want to come on to talk to you about your LinkedIn product, your online LinkedIn training. And I'm guessing that type of thing is covered in there.
It is, absolutely, yeah. The program is based on my workshops that I deliver. So for many years, I've been delivering workshops on how to use LinkedIn. And I've developed a system. It's a 6-step system that might be useful if I share that now. Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely perfect,
okay. Okay, so step 1 is sort your profile out. I call it looking good on LinkedIn. You got to get your profile looking as good as you possibly can. So that's step 1. The second thing is growing your database. However many contacts you've got right now, you want to get more. You want to grow that database, and that's step 2. Step 3 is I call it crowd development. And that's about improving the relationships, getting more people to know you, like you, and trust you on LinkedIn. Step 4 is about driving traffic to your website. Because again, that's such an opportunity, that I can go onto LinkedIn, I can share something on my homepage, I can then share that into groups, and I can get a message out, Michael, to 2.5 million people for free in less than probably 10 minutes on LinkedIn. How cool is that? I can remember, when you and I started, it was sending out as many envelopes as we could, sticking letters in envelopes, posting them out. You had no clue whether it was working or not, or whether people were opening them, except for the few bookings or inquiries that you got as a result. These days, we got all the figures. We know how many, if I do a post on LinkedIn, I can see how many people have looked at it, how many have clicked through to my website, and so on and so forth. So, that's a huge opportunity, I think. The next one, step 5, is about the paid for services on LinkedIn. People often say, is it worth becoming a premium member? What about the advertising? What about the website stuff that you can do in terms of remarketing or retargeting, as it's sometimes called? And then, surprise, surprise, step 6 is turning all that marketing that we've done before into sales. So it's about step 6 is selling. And that's what the program is. It's divided into 6 sections, several videos under each section. For example, in the first section, how to set up your profile. Video 2 is how to set up your company profile, and so on. So that's it, and that's how it works.
That's brilliant. And so obviously this is going to be really beneficial to people who want to market their online products and their online courses, across the internet.
Sure.
I'm guessing this would be perfect for people on the academy and people that want to do that. Have you got an offer for people that they can contact you and get this product?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So anybody listening, any of your academy, the price of the program, which is 28 videos, it's about 7 hours altogether. And there's also, just to clarify, there's also things like worksheets and tick lists and so on, and other sort of materials within that. I'm actually going to be selling it at £299. Plus VAT. At the moment, it's new. It's only been on the market for, I think it's about a month, something like that. So I'm doing a special introductory offer, if you will, for £99 plus VAT. But for any of your members, anybody watching today, I'll do a special deal of 20% off the £99. So the only slight problem with that is the best way of accessing that would be to give us a call, because it's not set up on the website. So if you want to call us, then that's probably the easiest way of doing that. Shall I give the telephone number? Would that be okay?
Yeah, please do, or we'll put it up on the screen. So if you want to give the number, we'll put that on the screen.
Yeah, perfect. So it's 01256 242 272.
And equally, if anybody wants to call us, if they don't want to call you direct and they do want to get in touch with us, we'll make sure that they're putting the right direction for getting access to the course with the discount. Because I think this is absolutely essential. It's an essential part of their online marketing, and if they're not taking advantage of LinkedIn, and certainly if they're not taking advantage of this amazing offer from yourself, I think they're missing a trick, to be quite honest. I think people really should be benefiting from this.
I've got to say I do, and I know I've got ulterior motive for this. I want to sell my product, but if you look at it in terms of return on investment. So the worst case scenario is you spend a little bit of money and do nothing with it. That's not the purpose of me being here, and I know it's not the purpose of you. And I'm sure your members are going to take action. If they do take action, then I don't know. I can't sit here and say, well, you're going to get this amount of business. But what I can sit here and say is you're going to pay for that training. Many times over. You could, if you do this really well, I think there's 50 to 100 grand's worth of business there, sitting for you right now on LinkedIn. And that's going to vary. My best ever, Michael, was this guy came on a workshop, and he sold software. And he phoned me up about 18 months later and said, look, I came on this workshop. Do you remember me? And I said, yeah, vaguely. I couldn't quite remember him, I must admit. He said, well, I'm calling to let you know that I got a lead on LinkedIn about 3 months after I came on the workshop. And today that's just turned into an order for £42 million. So he got good value. I did ask him, where's my commission, but it's still not right. No. The check got lost in the post, But that's the best ever. So if you use it, it works. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Steve, for sharing so much high-quality information with us today. I know that I really appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody watching will get so much out of it. So, for everybody else, if you want to come back to the Academy, there will be lots of webcasts just like this. We're constantly giving high-quality information about how you can create, market, and sell your own online products and courses. So, until next time, thanks very much.